What's going on, everyone? This is Vicente.
And this is Izzy.
Okay, let's do it again.
Okay. 3, 2, 1.
Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Vicente.
And this is Izzy.
And welcome to our Blade 2 review, continuing off our Blade franchise overlook. And Izzy, Blade 2, I would say Blade 2 is the almost perfect sequel to a follow-up to the original. Now, I prefer Blade 2 over the original easily. Izzy, what are your thoughts on Blade 2?
I really enjoyed Blade 2 more than I thought I would. I haven't watched it in a while, so when we rewatched it for this video, I really enjoyed it. It's like Vicente said, it's a really good sequel, because not a lot of sequels are able to pull it off when it comes to franchises, but this one does. I want to say like 100% for me.
Oh yeah, this is like easily one of the few sequels that are better than the original. You know, like Spider-Man 2, Aliens to Alien, Terminator 2, The Terminator. But you can't deny that the first Blade was something special. But Blade 2, holy shit! And it was directed by Guillermo del Toro. He did the first two original Hellboy movies, and you could tell by his style that he was doing a good job.
Oh yeah, you could definitely tell it was made by him, and it's definitely stylized like that. But it does such a good job.
And he blends horror and action so perfectly, you know, with the Reapers, with Wesley Snipes just being charismatic as Blade, Whistler being Whistler, Norman Reedus coming in as Scud as a new cast member, and even the Blood Pack. As much as I have a negative, which I'll talk about them when we get to our negative side of the movie, even they have some charismatic moments, but Blade 2 is a really strong sequel, and it's in contention, I would say, for at least top 10 sequels of all time. Like, it's just a badass movie in general. And what's funny is that the original villain for Blade 2 was going to be Michael Morbius. Yeah, and we're going to show the video clip of the alternate ending for Blade. I meant to mention it in our Blade review that it was originally going to end with Blade finding Michael Morbius, and that would have been very cool. No, not the crappy Jared Leto version of Michael Morbius, but the badass one, which eventually, rumor has it, would have led to a crossover with Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, and that would have been cool as fuck to see.
Yeah, that would have been really cool to see, especially if we got to see a good Morbius, because he sounds like a badass character.
Yeah, but before we get into our positive, mix, and negatives, Izzy, what would you rate Blade 2?
For me, I would really rate Blade 2 a solid 9 for me.
Oh, I'm giving us a 9.3 out of 10. It is a very good movie. Besides one negative, and it's one I can't really ignore or just let go. But, you know, it's like I said, it's a very strong sequel, and it helps when just the cast is blended perfectly, even for newcomers. You just feel like they're right at home with Guillermo del Toro, and he did such a badass job with this movie.
Yeah, I feel like even if you didn't watch the first movie, you could right off the bat understand the storyline, not a problem.
Oh, easily, because he do a very good job of having flashbacks, but still managing to progress the story even more.
Yep.
So whatever was good about Blade 1 exceeds perfectly in Blade 2.
Yes.
So starting on with our first positive, Wesley Snipes is at his best when it comes to Blade. Now, Wesley Snipes as Blade was already a badass in the first movie, but to see his character progress even more, and not even just as a badass, but just as a better character in general, we see him be a little bit, not lighthearted, but a little bit more charismatic. When scene he's doing with Reinhardt, that thing with the knife, and bugging him, or just calling Scud a sissy. It's good to see different sides to Blade, and I didn't think Wesley Snipes could bring it. Well, I knew he could, but just how far he's brought that character of Blade and just embodying that role is just perfect.
Yeah, I love seeing his personality come out more with this movie, and seeing him work with the team in this movie I think is really interesting for his character as well.
Yeah, because, you know, Blade isn't really a tactical leader, and in the comics, I haven't really read a lot of Blade comics, but I know here and there he'll lead the Midnightsuns on a mission, but just seeing Wesley Snipes' version of Blade try to be a tactical leader is pretty cool, and I like it. And there's a scene to where he tells the Blood Pack that I don't expect none of you assholes to make it back, but we have to work together if we're going to stop the Reapers. And just, you know, Wesley Snipes, you were just a badass in this movie. The fight scenes are way better, and yes, I know the CGI looks a little wonky, but I'm not going to sin it. It's whatever to me.
Yeah, the CGI is what it is for a time, and I think at the time it was really good.
Yeah, this movie came out in 2002, and yeah, I like it, you know. I don't expect like perfect CGI every time, you know, but it makes up for it when it's with the hand-to-hand combat martial arts scene. It's just badass.
Oh yeah, the combat in this movie is even better than the first, in my personal opinion.
Oh, I would agree with that one. All right, and now starting off with our second positive, the introduction of the Reapers. Holy shit. When I say these things are fucking scary, they were scary.
Yeah, the Reapers were... I was not expecting them in this movie, but they are a step up from the villain from the first movie, I will say.
Easily, and we'll talk about it when we get to our Nomak positive. But the Reapers, holy crap, they're okay. So the Reapers are basically a mutant version of vampires, but they hunt humans and vampires, and that's what's scary is that Blade has this two-way war already. You know, he doesn't fight the humans, but he fights the vampires and the Reapers, and the vampires have Blade to worry about, and the Reapers, and so it creates like an interesting conflict between the three factions. And these Reapers will hunt you non-stop. And what's so scary is that they have no vampire weakness besides the sunlight. But even then, that hurts the vampires. So you have to create ways to be able to kill the Reapers without hurting Blade's team. And it's so cool and it's so scary. And just seeing them tear apart each vampire one by one from the Blood Pact was just something crazy.
Yeah, I think my favorite thing about the Reapers is the character design for, like, their face.
Oh my god, it kind of reminds me, I wonder if the Demigorgons from Stranger Things took a little inspiration from that, because it kind of looks like when they open their mouth and stuff. But I remember as a kid, these things used to scare the shit out of me. And the fact that, you know, garlic doesn't hurt them, silver doesn't hurt them, and yeah, you can stab them in the heart, but their heart is literally encased of bone, so you have to stab it through the side. And yeah, good thing sunlight works, but like I said, vampires from the Blood Pact are going to get killed if they're exposed to sunlight. So, it, like I said, it creates that interesting conflict, and it's a three-way battle. You don't know who's going to come out. We know Blade's going to come out, but you don't know if he's going to get bit. And it creates another interesting conflict, too, when we get to the villain Nomak, to where he's telling Blade, we both hunt vampires. Why don't we work together? So I like that little side plot, and we all know Blade isn't going to fall for it, but I think at one point he almost considered it when he told the character Anissa, he's doing me a favor, why should I care?
Yeah, and I think that triangle with all the different factions really comes out in the third act, which makes the characters...
Oh, in the sewer scene? Yeah, so just seeing him fight off the swarm of the Reapers was just fucking cool. The Reapers are just coming non-stop, and it's stated that it doesn't even take that long for you to turn into a Reaper. I think it was like, what, a minimum of like maybe an hour or two?
Yeah, it was just an hour. And I think another thing, too, that's really scary about the Reapers is that they're brain dead, and all they are is just, like, bloodthirsty. So even if only, like, part of them dies off, the other part is still alive and still is just bloodthirsty.
Yeah, we see, there's a scene to where we see, like, a Reaper trying to feed on itself, because it's stated by Whistler that they start dying because their metabolism is going way too fast, so they have to feed hella time, so it's that constant threat to where they're all gonna jump you, and it's fucking scary. So Guillermo del Toro, you did an awesome job of bringing the Reapers to life, and they were just fucking terrifying, and you gave me childhood nightmares because of them.
Yeah, you made them really scary, and it's like I think it's like the best villain so far.
I would say it's probably one of the best designs for vampires. It's up there. All right, number 3 on our positive list, the characters of Scud and the Blood Pact team. Now, we're going to start with Scud because I know Izzy loves Scud. And fun fact, he's played by Norman Reedus, you know, Daryl Dixon from The Walking Dead, as people know him. And I remember Izzy was like, holy shit, that's him?
Yeah, when I saw him on screen, he looked so young and he sounded so young and, like, just, like, happy-go-lucky from, like, what we see him as Daryl in the Walking Dead series. And so it was such a different side of him that I was not expecting to see, but I really liked his character other than the end.
And you see, I know Norman Reedus way before Blade and Walking Dead. I knew him from Boondock Saints, the first one. So that's how I know Norman Reedus, you know. It's rare when you meet someone that likes Norman Reedus, because usually they're going to say Walking Dead. Yeah. But anyway, before we get off topic, but yeah, no, I like the character of Scud, you know, him kind of being like a Whistler replacement, because Blade believed that Whistler was dead, or he was just kidnapped. But I know Izzy was heartbroken when it was revealed that Scud was a traitor. She was like, aw.
I was so sad when I found out he was a familiar. I'm like, are you serious? Because, like, I really like the bond between Blade and Scud. Like, I thought that was a really interesting relationship because it felt like they were around, like, the same age, and so it wasn't, like, a mentorship.
Yeah, it was kind of like a brother.
Yeah.
Even, like, you see Scud and Whistler start bonding a little bit when they're making the UV bombs. And like I said earlier, when Blade is calling Scud sissy because he doesn't want to open up the heart or anything like that, it's just cool. And now, when it comes to the Blood Pact, I'm just going to say it right now. The only ones we're really going to talk about are Reinhardt, played by Ron Perlman, and Nisa. I don't know the actress's name, or I know what it is, but I don't know how to pronounce it, so I'm not even going to try to butcher it.
Yeah.
But let's start with Reinhardt, played by Ron Perlman, and he's Hellboy. Fun fact, and I'm pretty sure people know that.
Yeah.
But his chemistry with Wesley Snipes in this movie is just fucking hilarious. I think one of my favorite scenes is when in the club scene where we're trying to hunt down the Reapers or find them, is when the character Reinhardt literally has a laser gun pointed at Blade. Anything Blade doesn't know until one of the other Buck Pack Chupa tells him, dude, he has you. And he's like, what? And he sees Blade has his little laser pointer pointing at him. And you see Blade just give him that cheesy smile and stuff. It was just funny. So I like their chemistry together because I don't even say they're frenemies. They're just people that have a common goal to get rid of the Reapers.
Yeah, their friendship was very interesting in the movie, but it was very comical. I wouldn't say comical, but it was really enjoyable to watch.
Yeah, I wouldn't even say it was a friendship. It was just more like temporary partners.
Yeah.
And then finally when they fight and Blade just whoops his ass easily, and then he puts like a little detonator on the back of his head telling him he's in control. And so every so often Blade tells him, I got the magic bomb right here, motherfucker. Let's blow shit up. Alright, and now let's get to the last Blood Pack member that really had importance is a character in Nisa. And like Dr. Karen Johnson from the first movie, she wasn't a damsel in distress. She was pretty badass. Granted, I really wish she took more of like a co-lead role because yeah, she was leader for the Blood Pack, but I felt like with her character, she didn't really play a big enough role. But when she came into the picture, she was just a badass. She could hold her own.
Yeah, I feel like she really didn't become like the main role, like the main leader until like the very end. Mm. But I really liked her character. She was very badass.
Yeah, and then as far as the other Blood Pack members, the only one I really fucked with, and unfortunately they died in a dumb way, was that Asian dude played by Donnie Yen. Yeah. Donnie Yen's a badass. He's one of my favorite martial artist actors. He was cool. And then they killed him off in such a dumb way off screen. It's like, oh, whatever, you know. And which I'll talk about my negatives. I don't want to spoil it right now. Not just yet. So yeah. And I'm moving on to our number 4 positive, the character of Nomak. Nomak is a way better Blade villain than Deacon Frost from the first movie. I'd argue that Nomak is the best Blade villain for movies.
Yeah, he was an amazing villain. I really enjoyed him because he actually seemed scary and like he actually had the threat behind him. It wasn't just like, oh, I'm just gonna give you all my bad guys to defeat. He actually went out and like killed people himself. And
he was fighting Blade the first time. You know, it's another cool fight scene. And he's fighting Blade towards the end, which we'll talk about on our next positive. But what makes Nomak so good is that not just because he's a sympathetic villain, but just because like you understand why he wants to kill all the vampires, because he was experimented on by his dad, one of the lead vampires, the elder vampires, and it created the Reaper virus because they were trying to make daywalkers, but he was a failed experiment.
Yeah, and I think that connection really ties the movie together. And I mean, yeah, it sucks that he kind of like has like a sad backstory, so you feel bad for him, but he's still scary even without that backstory.
Yeah, and there's a scene to where like all the his dad's guards are trying to shoot him down. Holy crap, these Reapers are durable as hell. Not even like a gunshot to the head or to the body is gonna put them down. Maybe it'll put them out for a little bit, but them motherfuckers will go right back up. So yeah, Nomak, I would say he's an underrated Marvel villain, you know, when it comes to live action. No one really talks about him, but when he gets his time to shine, he really shines, you know, whether it's his sad background story, him just being a badass, you know, like what Izzy said, he was literally fighting Blade, he didn't have to be a blood god like Deacon Frost. He wasn't a whiting brat. He was just badass and intimidating and scary, but yeah, you understood his pain and why he's doing what he's doing.
Yeah, like, I really hope we see him in the remake or some sort of form of it.
Yeah, but, you know, we'll see if Marvel really wants to go that dark.
Yeah, we'll see.
All right, and now on our final positive, number 5, Blade versus Nomak. Now, the first time they fought, it was pretty cool, but it was just so ended quickly because Blade, you know, had sunlight come into the room. But the final fight, holy shit, you can just feel the brutalness. And I know Izzy would point out, that's such a WWE move, but it's so cool. Like, you can literally feel like the impacts of the hit. And granted, yeah, like when they're doing their flips, the CGI looks a little weird, but I'm one of those people that can forgive it. It's not gonna bother me because it doesn't really, well, it plays a big part, but it's not enough to the point where it's gonna bug me. But yeah, and it's so cool because what rumor has it that behind the scenes, Wesley Snipes trained the actor of Nomak in martial arts, so that way their fight choreography looked legit. And I like that, you know, for Wesley Snipes being a trained martial artist, he took the fight choreography very, very serious, and you gotta respect that.
Yeah, that's really cool to know. And also, I want to say that was probably the most badass fight in this movie.
Oh, easily. like I said, you just feel the impact, and Nomak is telling Blade, why don't you join me? We can literally rule together. We can take out the vampires. And he tells him, I hope you realize that once I'm done with the vampires, I'm coming for your precious humans. And so there's that there's that emotional stake because Blade is still human. Yeah, he's a vampire, but he's also human, so he has to protect the humans. And so that final fight scene, I'm going to say is the best in the Blade trilogy. Even better than in Blade Trinity and the first Blade.
Yeah, I have to agree to that because I feel like that fight had not just so much, was badass and had so much action, but it had so much emotion behind it.
Oh, yeah, I would agree. All right, now that we're done with our positive list, we do have one mixed feeling. I know Izzy excited to get to it, but our one mixed feeling is going to be the return of Whistler. Now, for me, I like the way they ended his story in the first Blade, or so I thought, just because it was kind of like him. It's like that mentor role in a lot of movies to where they die, and so now the hero has to learn how to go on without his mentor. And to me, that was just a perfect send-off for Whistler. Now, why I'm mixed about it, it's just because, like, I'm happy he returns. And yeah, he's still the same old Whistler. You know, he's no longer a vampire. Blade was able to cure him. As what they do in Blade Trinity is what pisses me off. And I'm not going to spoil it just yet because Izzy doesn't remember what happens in Blade Trinity. But I'm going to let Izzy talk about her mixed feelings on Whistler's return.
So, I felt the same way where, like, I thought his send-off in the first movie was good. Like, I thought it was a good ending. But then the way that this movie started with Blade trying to find Whistler and finding him again. And when they brought him back in this movie, I loved how you felt like the same old Whistler. They didn't change his character. They didn't make him weaker or even stronger. But, like, we just got to see more of him. And I really like that.
Yeah, I would just say, like, a thing I really hate is how, like, Scud and even sometimes Blade were weary of Whistler saying, you know, you were a vampire. How do we know you're not going to turn on us? And, you know, like, I get it. It's to raise tension. But I always thought it was, like, kind of a dumb thing to do just because it's Whistler. He raised Blade. The one scene I love with Whistler and Blade is when he's trying to wake Blade up and give him, like, back his powers by throwing him in a vault of blood. And he's telling Blade, like, don't die on me. I need you. And so I like seeing their bond that they had in the first movie to where they don't have to say I love you, but you know that they love each other like father and son.
Yeah, that was such a sad scene, but like you said, we really saw the bond between them and how much they need each other, which makes me really sad what we're gonna see in Trinity.
Oh yeah, I'm letting you guys know right now. What happens to Whistler is gonna be a big ass fucking negative, and I know Izzy's just gonna hate it.
Am I gonna be pissed?
Oh yeah, you're gonna be like, he should have just died in the first one. Then if they're gonna do him like that.
Oh, lovely.
Oh yeah. All right, and now we're done with our mixed feelings. We only have one negative in this movie, and it's the one I really can't ignore. But it's going to be the lack of characteristics from the other Blood Pack members. Now, like you said, Nisa and Reinhardt have characters. They have characteristics and personalities, but the other team members just literally have nothing. And I don't expect each one to have like a rich backstory, but at least give them a personality to when they are killed off and fed on by the Reapers. I actually somewhat care, you know. A perfect example is kind of like, I would say Suicide Squad and Avengers, because yeah, two different movies, but at least when someone dies or someone's in danger, you feel the level of stakes being risen.
Yeah, I wish we got a little screen time with each of them, or at least in more of an interaction with Blade or even Whistler, just so we could get to know them more and have some sort of feeling for them.
And I get it, you know, these the Blood Pack members were trained for 2 years to kill Blade, but with a threat as big as the Reapers, you would think they would just put aside their hatred, be like, look, we don't have to like each other or respect each other. We literally just have to kill these things, and then we get back to business. So I would have liked a scene where, like, let's just say Blade saves one of the team members, or some of the team members save Blade from something. You know, that way it adds a little bit of character depth to where when they eventually die, it feels a little sad. Like I said, I don't expect rich backstories.
Yeah.
I don't even expect, you know, cool names or anything, but at least give some of the Black Pack members a little bit more characteristics and personalities. That way, when they do die, like I said, we actually care, or when they're in danger, we're like, oh shit, are they going to make it?
Yep.
Alright, and that's going to do it for a Blade 2 review. Like I said, it is an almost perfect sequel, but, you know, the lack of character depth from the other Blood Pack members and the return of Whistler kind of holds this movie back for me. But other than that, like I said, I say it's a strong 9.2 out of 10.
Yeah, for me, it's still a strong 9. I think this movie is a great sequel. It's one of the best sequels I've seen.
Now, would you say it's better than Spider-Man 2?
No.
Oh, yeah, no.
Nothing, no, I think that's probably the best sequel I've ever seen. I don't think another sequel can top that. If there is, let me know down in the comments and prove me wrong.
Yeah, but Blade 2, like I said, almost perfect sequel, but is way better than the original Blade.
Yeah.
Alright, and that's going to do it for our episode. I hope you guys like this film review. And next week, we're finally ending the Blade franchise with Blade Trinity. I can't wait to sink my teeth into that one, no pun intended. I have a love-hate relationship with that movie. I know Izzy, she remembers Ryan Reynolds in that movie, but she doesn't remember anything else besides that, and I know it's just I know which scenes are going to piss her off.
I feel like I'm going to be very pissed during that review.
Alright, and as always, be good people, take care of others, take care of your mental health, be nice, and, we'll catch you next episode. Peace out, everyone.
Bye, guys.